Hello, I'm Angela Johnson and I'm one of the ambassadors for docrafts, and today I'm going to show you some interesting tools that you can use to create apertures or frames in your crafting. You basically have a full set of Xcut shape cutting tools. Now these come in squares, rectangles, circles and ovals, and you get a total of 12 shapes that enable you to cut on the inside of the shape and the outside of the shape, and you get a cutting tool. But to give you an idea of how they work, I've done you a few boards, and if you were scrapbooking or mat and layering any of your projects, you'll straight away get an idea of how these work. So there are some of the shapes of the squares, of the rectangles, of the circles and the ovals. And I think what you'll see here when you then go into layering them up and the frames, the versatility of this collection is huge. And some of these shapes are really awkward to get. Having curved edges, for instance, on a rectangle will really give a class to a project. Circles are easy to cut, but ovals, you don't find many things that are ovals that you could draw around. Circles, we've got every single shape we need from 6 inches to 2 inches and everything in between. So let's see how easy these tools are to work. I've got a piece of cardstock here, and being what I think is one of the most tricky shapes to cut out, I've started with the oval. It has on the base some silicone feet, and that keeps it still while I'm working with it on my project, although I still have to use my hand to hold it in place. Got the cutting tool. The cutting tool comes with a safety cap, and obviously, as with all cutting tools, this is a sharp blade, and therefore keep it away from children and always keep cutting tools safely with the cap on afterwards. So I have two options. I can cut on the outside of the frame, or I can cut on the inside of the frame. I sit that little part there into the tram line. I call it a tram line because it's a bit like once it's in, it glides round. In order to engage the cutting, I hold the frame with one hand and I press down just as you would do with any cutting tool, and I move the cutting blade, I'll just move my hand so you can see what I'm doing, around the frame. Now because the frame is held in place and this is a rotating blade, it cuts all the way around, giving me the aperture that I want, and it's also created that lovely oval shape so that I could use that as a base or a frame, and I've also got the aperture cut out perfectly. A real advantage to this though comes if you're a scrapbooker, because when it comes to larger cardstock, and I've got a 12 by 12 sheet here, and say I was scrapbooking and I wanted a circle in the middle here, this isn't going to go through my die cutting machine. But I can take my circle and I can place it anywhere within that 12 by 12 cardstock, and I can take my cutting tool, and this time we're going to cut inside the circle. So again, locating that little flat bit into the tram lane, I've then this time got the blade on the inside, and it works exactly the same way. Take it round, hold the frame still, but those silicone feet are holding it in place. I just use my hand to make sure it doesn't move. Go all the way round, and I now have the perfect circle cut out of my blue cardstock, and that is the only way I know that I can get that perfect cut in the centre of a 12 by 12. There's a couple of useful ways you can use these that you may not have thought of. Perhaps you might want to create some shaped cards. So using the shape, I folded a piece of cardstock and created a shaped card with round edges. And definitely one of the best uses ever is to create your own aperture cards. So any cardstock, you can create a centre with any shape, whether it's a square, a rectangle, an oval or a circle, using the amazing Xcut shape cutting system. I hope this has been a useful demonstration to you, and I really do recommend you give this system a try in all your crafting and scrapbooking. See you again soon. Bye-bye.